I'm No Fool with Fire is pretty great and a little bit funny as well. I don't know if it was meant to be, but I found one of the songs to be pretty comedic. This is, of course, a Disney Jiminy Cricket educational short film. It was released in 1955 and stars the voice of Cliff Edwards as Jiminy Cricket. And Jiminy takes us through, first of all, a brief history of man's relationship with fire. And then he looks at what creates fire, and he describes a couple of different types of fires and how some fires can be put out with water, other ones need the air to be trapped. And then he, of course, goes into some tips for being safe around fire, and how to not be a fool with fire. And it's a complete package. The pacing is generally really good. I do think the history section, as much as I love history, I think that should have been a little bit shorter, and the safety tip should have been a little bit longer. I think that would have been a lot more beneficial, but the information that we get is still really useful. The animation that goes with what he's saying is really good. It's not my favourite kind of animation. I've mentioned this before with reference to the Jiminy Cricket shorts. I don't love it, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's not my personal favourite, but we do have some great bits, particularly the fire truck. I thought that looked pretty awesome. And we have a couple of songs to keep things moving along, and one of them, I think it was either the last song or the second last song, there was just something about it that I found to be pretty amusing. And I guess that's a good thing because it makes it quite memorable. I do think the information in this is very clearly explained. It definitely helps to show that fire can be very dangerous and that there are certain things you should and shouldn't do. But as I said, I think the pacing in the middle, absolutely fine, but I feel like the beginning was a little slower than it needed to be. We could have quickened that up with the history part of it, got to the main feature a little bit more quickly, and then spent a little bit more time towards the end with some safety tips, as ultimately that's significantly more important. So it's not perfect, but generally it's pretty good and still relevant today. A lot of, well, some of the Disney educational shorts, they're perhaps not quite as relevant today. Mostly it's the ones about health, though. The safety tips are generally still relevant, and this is the case with I'm No Fool with Fire. If you're a Disney fan, if you're a Jiminy Cricket fan, it's definitely worth checking out. It was funnier than I expected. I don't know if it was meant to be, or if it's just the way I responded to it, but it's definitely memorable and informative, and ultimately not a bad educational short.